of this mythology with Asarian, in the Asarian mythology. According to the myth of the Asarian theology, Asar had two sons, which the next son, which would be Hiru, that would be his next son.
The youngest.
Ah,
The youngest.
yeah, the youngest son, right? But one of the things that the story goes in the mythology as it's interpreted. Nephthys, which is the sister of Aset and also the sister of Asar. She was in love with Asar, deeply in love with him, I guess, realizing how Asar was such a, let me say, quote unquote, good man, how he treated Aset with love, respect, dignity, appreciation. I guess she wanted that type of a treatment also, because the husband who she had set, very egoistical and bombastic, as we would say, one of no boundaries, you understand? So she wanted that type of a treatment. So she come up with a plan in how can she get to enjoy Asar. So she wants to be with him. Now, if we take it from the concept of human in the sense, not that she wanted to be with him to what they call home wrecker. You understand?
Okay.
That wasn't her motive in the sense. You understand? She wants to be with the person because the person is a good person. You understand?
Okay.
And her deception, as we're going along the line, we're going to see why. You understand what is her deception really all about? Nephthys is said to realize that Asar would not go with her under any circumstances. Well, because she tried and she realized he's a good man. And his goodness is not in a question of just words, but he got discipline. And this what makes you, in the sense, when you meet someone of discipline, principle, then you can say, well, that one is a virtue. That one has values. That's a good person because that person is following discipline. You see? But you meet people who doesn't have values, no virtues, and no virtue, rather, principles and discipline. Well, it's not that they are not good in the question of birth, because we all are the love of God. We all come from the divine. But they are not good in the sense at this level of the understanding, so they cannot do anything for you at the moment, nor themselves. So there's no expansion in that type of relationship. If you look at it even on a casual base, you don't want to put yourself even with what you call friends who ain't have nothing good to tell you. You see, because there's no discipline, there's no principle. You see? So she's seen that goodness, discipline, but she realized Asar would not go with her. So she devised this plan, a scheme, that she could influence him. And what she did, her deceptiveness now, she comes in. She and Aset, they look alike. So she's going to take advantage of this now. They look alike, they resemble, they're like twins. So as it says, Asar went on his mission, and he come back now, and party and thing going on, so you get a little intoxicated. Well, she recognized that. So she approached him in the darkness. Now, she didn't come in light. Because, you could be intoxicated right in there, but if you want to approach you in the light, based upon the amount of light, you could recognize things, right? But she approached him in the darkness. Some of the teaching says where Asar and Aset usually meets. She knows all of this. So she put herself in that place. The gallant flowers that Aset put around her neck as perfumes and all of these things, she used the same thing. and she go into the little darkness, or say under influence whatsoever it is, intoxicated, he get trapped. So she is the one influence the whole thing in order to have a child with, well, she didn't go primarily to have the child, but she go with Asar to be with Asar. I mean, you hear it all about, some people talking about, well, yeah, this is a good person. You understand? And I would like to get close to this person, right? Well, she wanted to be close. So through her scheme and well thought out plan, Asar becomes the father of her child. And we all know why it is important. The ultimate of sex is childbearing. That's the ultimate of it. Even if you just look at it from a question of just having fun, well then, you're still the ultimate of it. Because you end up with a lot of fun children all about the place. You understand? That's the ultimate. So we're talking about here because Asar shows discipline. God is a good man. He shows respect for himself. He shows a lot of self-esteem. He shows principles. He's a person of conscience. He's a person who's not acting basically of reflex, but he's a person who's acting of constructive construction. So his mind is in a state of concentration. His movements are always constructiveness. So his son, which is Anpu, that's a name by the Egyptian, ancient Egyptians, and the Greeks call him Anubis. So let's look a little further now, if we could get a little understanding. Stay right there in the book. Who is Nephthys, which is the mother of Anpu? Sometimes they call her Nephthys, right? It's also, but it's Nephthys, right? Good. So who is Nephthys? What does Nephthys symbolize? Because we're dealing with mythology here. Good. So what does Nephthys symbolize? Nephthys symbolically, or Nephthys symbolize the mistress of time and space. I think we just read that a while, we just saw it a while ago, right? Dua heteru, same goddess you're talking about. You understand? Dua heteru netrita. Good. Dua heteru. See? Nephthys. Good. Mistress of time and space. Right? So she becomes the lady of the house. Now, one of the things you have to understand, you may hear different name in different time, different period, but you're dealing with, let me say, one energy. Good? So she is the mistress of time and space, or the nature of time and space, consciousness and death. So she represents nature in itself. She is the mother of time and space. She is the mother of intelligence. We're going to see. She is considered to be the lower mysteries because Aset is considered to be the higher mysteries. You see? And because they are twin, you see, they have high and they have low. So she is the lower mysteries, so she is the mother of intelligence of time and space. While Aset is the love and wisdom of higher consciousness of the transcendental plane. Let's put it that way. See? So, the intelligence that must be understood now, that's where we're going. Because she is the mother of time and space, we as pilgrims, let me say pilgrims in time and space, have to understand these lower mysteries where we are in order to make proper transition in our lives, not only for when we live in the physical body, but moving from mental state to mental state. We have to try to understand that. And for us to understand that, it means to say that we have to penetrate the mysteries of time and space. So our thinking, our mental faculty become the tentacle or become our testicle in order to penetrate the womb of ignorance in our own consciousness. That will be able to, let me say, bring forth a child of intelligence, which is Anpu. Intelligence that must be understood or penetrate in order to properly prepare oneself for transition from time and space. As Asar penetrated Nephthys and had a son with her, the son by the name of Anpu, who became the symbol of discriminative intelligence, distinguishing the real from the unreal. We read that in the prayer. Oh, Anpu, you want to look at it?
Mm-hmm. The prayer of Anpu is on page. Yes. That's our morning prayer. And
was it a page 55 or 56? One of them there? Okay. 55, right? Good. Oh, Anpu, open the way.
Yeah. It's on page 60.
60, right?
They say, O Anpu, open of the ways, the roads of the north.
All right. Mm-hmm. Take those lines in the bottom.
The messenger between heaven and hell.
Displaying alternately a face as black as night.
And golden as the day. Mm-hmm. He is equally watchful by day as by night.
Good.
May Anpu make my thighs firm so that I may stand upon them.
Mm-hmm.
I have washed myself in the water wherein the god Anpu washed, when he performed the office of embalmer and bandager. My lips are the lips of Anpu.
And what it say? He's the what? The distinguisher? Discriminative?
Oh, yeah. He said, Anpu is the deity which leads soul through the narrow pathways of the duat.
God.
Therefore, request the assistance of Anpu, who represents the discriminative intellectual ability, so that you may distinguish the real from the unreal.
You see? So one of the things that we tend to get away from, most spiritual, well, I shouldn't say most rather, because that's too blanket. Because I don't have a real tometer to say, well, who is who and who is not. But lots of spiritual aspirants make these mistakes along the line, believing to themselves that intelligence is unimportant in the part of spirituality. But you must be able to bring forth that child of intelligence which we call becoming spiritual sensitive. The more you become spiritual sensitive, which means you begin to bring forth a child that you can understand what is taking place, what you are doing. And by you becoming more spiritual sensitive, it puts you in a position that you can make proper decisions. And not only on a question of, well, because I'm coming to a gathering, but we're talking about your life in general here. Not speaking about just coming together and we come 1 or 2 days and not speaking about that. Your life as a whole, totality, let we say from birth to the grave. You see? So he becomes the opener of the way and the protector of the bones of his father Asar. I don't know which page you can see him where he sits upon the
the tomb?
Yes,
the tomb
where he
of
sits
Asar?
on the tomb of Asar.
Yeah, that's a nice picture.
See?
Mm-hmm, I'll find it.
But he's sitting upon the tomb of, he protecting the bones. So when you become, as you begin to grow intelligently in the spiritual part, you begin to protect yourself. Protect yourself from what we call negativity. You begin to do things that becomes of value. You move away from quote unquote that negative road that you were once traveling and try to find yourself in the most positive place that you can. So your sun, in this sense, because the sun, Asar, symbolize your soul, which is you. And Anpu, which symbolize the intellectual faculty of discrimination and intelligence, knowing the real from the ignorant, that's your faculty. And this must be developed.
I like this picture 81 on
That's Sebek.
This is Anubis. It says it's Anubis.
All right.
Anubis under the direction of Jehudi.
Good.
Reconstituting the body of Asar.
Yes.
With the help of.
Yeah, but they have one, go back, run to the front, you can see right on top the, it's like a little square box,
yeah.
like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You see him sitting right and laying on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
You see? You see, so when you look at these, you understand what we're dealing here, the mythology actually pointing to you and your own spiritual development. You see, once you began to grow, as I would say, you began to what to transcend. So you began to penetrate the mysteries of time and space because you began to understand where you are, what is taking place, and what is needed. So the desire, that's where the question of the little trickery comes in with her. We get tricked with the desires of time and space, believing that time and space is only that, and that's all. So we believe to ourselves, because we were born from the womb of a mother, and we say we go into a grave when that's all there is to life. So technically we use a common term, is like you just happen. But it's more than that. Because if science is teaching that spirit cannot be, dissolved, let me use that term. Then if spirit in itself cannot be dissolved, matter cannot be dissolved, it cannot be destroyed. Energy. Mm-hmm. How come you as a spirit, how are you going to be destroyed? So you are more than what society acclaim you to be. So society says you have to have a name, and that is only for the book in society that we can identify based upon our mathematical system, that we will know how many things is in the barrel. So we can say, well, there are X amount of people living in Charlotte, X amount of people living in such and such place. That's only a mathematical system in order to identify objects living in certain areas. But that's not really you. If it is you, why do you have to ask this question here? I'm sure you have about 3 names, right? Well, with 3 names, those are names they give us, right? And out of those 3 names, there's a name that he doesn't like. Why you don't like it? If it's you, why you don't like it? It's you, right? It doesn't have nothing to do with you. It really doesn't have anything to do with it. All it has is an objective identification of an object living or existing in an area. So what as you began to grow spiritually, your spiritual sensitivity leads you away from the desire of time and space and put you in an area where you can properly identify yourself. You can distinguish now the real from the unreal. So you can distinguish your personality, which is your ego personality, as opposed to your divine personality. So the desires of time and space, you know the desires of time and space, the value